Yay! Whoa, my God. Why is it so freaking close?
Or a bit off.
And it's really crooked. It looks like we just
we
went
don't
through an
need
earthquake.
that many book stacks. It's an awkward angle.
Who's stacking books?
1 second.
Thank you.
Seems a little closer today.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
That's okay.
Slightly crooked, but it's
Okay,
okay.
we go a little this way. Oh no, this way.
It's okay.
That look good.
It looks great. Thanks, Bobby.
That
Always
looks
hyping
good.
us up like that.
Oh, Bobby, we love you.
That's
Hi,
good.
Nancy.
Say good morning, Buddha. Everybody loves
Good
Buddha.
morning.
Hi,
Good
Wilson.
Good morning. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the jungle today.
It's in honor of the TikTok trend, Into the Thick of It. It's Buddha's favorite.
Oh
So
my God, my favorite is.
Oh no, that's my
Oh,
favorite.
My
that,
favorite
that
is-
one will never go
Wait,
away.
which one?
Oh no.
Oh, that's a good one. My new favorite that I told Hope is, "Don't talk to me."
That's a good one.
It's a classic, really.
Yeah.
Well, y'all ready for the news?
I really I just love TikTok trends. I do like that they're going back to the Backyardigans. It was a pretty lit show back in the day. I like the song. It's like Castaways. We are castaways. Half the time, people do it to crazy shit, fucking their house is leaking with water. It's like castaways. It really must suck, but it's a good song to make everybody laugh. Into the Thick of It song was stuck in my head. Oh, it gets way worse.
Into the thick of it.
It's
So good.
people didn't realize that that's from a kid's show. And then someone remixed it with Little Einsteins. That was turned. Going through the sky, Little Einsteins.
I've never even heard. I don't even know
What
you're
the
talking
fuck?
about.
Okay, they weren't my generation of kid stuff. It was after that, and I didn't watch them religiously, but I knew they existed.
Okay.
It was probably around the time you started doing drugs, so you,
It was a little late for me.
Yeah.
There was no.
so I
going
don't
back
think you
then.
were watching the Backyardigans.
No.
It's okay.
No, I wasn't. Well, I don't even know what news we have today. Our boy Hal Turner posted today. I was looking for some stuff yesterday.
He's really going after COVID, Hal Turner's a big COVID.
He's still out there fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how Hal Turner's still alive. Mysterious spirals are appearing over the skies in the Pacific. Well, that's cool.
Oh.
President Trump, I have never admitted defeat. I have not conceded.
Yeah, he says the funniest shit. Bobby, you really could be my daughter. I probably am, boobs. Are you my mom?
She'll take both. Twins. Days are getting shorter now. I mean, are you being serious, or are you being they're going fast for you? Or do you mean actual going they're getting shorter because we passed the solstice? I'm just trying to keep up.
I'm just trying to keep up.
If you mean actually, or the Matrix is glitching.
I mean, basically. Will the feds ever disclose the UFOs? That's a question we still don't have the answer to.
I mean, I feel like Mom's pushing them to, and that was in the divine decrees. Obviously, as everybody knows, that they don't disclose on UFOs, the Galactic Federation of Light will just show up. And I feel like they're starting that now, because if it was up to the stupid fucking cabal, they would just never do anything. And so that's why you're seeing all the UFO activity. I was just watching a video in Hawaii. I mean, an entire fleet of ships is doing jumping jacks in the fucking sky in a line.
God.
I'm like, come on. They're all going, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And someone's like, is this Starlink? Elon Musk's satellites? It's yeah, totally. Elon Musk satellites flowing in the breeze of our atmosphere. Yeah, fucking right. It's the Galactic Federation of Light. Cut the shit.
Cut this shit.
This is so dumb. Oh,
Bro.
It's Starlink.
Okay, so as I'm scrolling on Facebook, this article from The Atlantic shows up. We choose our cults every day.
It has the Q for QAnon
Wait,
cult.
I have to read this.
What?
It says, Cultish, a new book by blah blah, reveals how insidery, I don't even know these words, and I know a lot of words, insidery language informs the communities of modern life. And she said, way back in January, I was idly thumbing through Instagram when I received a message that shook me like a martini.
It's crazy who's allowed to be journalists nowadays. They be hiring anybody on Indeed.com. I fucking swear, bro. Where'd this person
What
get hired
is
from?
this writing?
Glassdoor.com?
Okay, did you hear that that Cara babies donated to Trump? I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This sentence likely makes no sense to you, unless you've had a baby sometimes in the past few years. Taking Cara babies is the brand name for Cara Dumaplin, a nurse turned baby sleeping expert. In the weeks after I brought my twins home from the hospital, all I could think about was sleep. In came Cara, a sweet, soothing woman based in Arizona whose virtual newborn sleep classes, what? Was
I can't even understand this language they're speaking. Like, egos will be like, they can't understand us. We fucking can't understand you either.
Okay, but to make it better, this being is charging $80 for virtual newborn sleep classes. I mean, you don't teach newborns to sleep, okay? You just don't. Just for everyone's awareness. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So she said she did the class. She connected with other parents. Once I asked my husband how much he would have paid for Cara's classes had he known how invaluable they would be for us. $10,000, he replied. We had found structure and hope from this woman whose caretaking brand was built on being inclusive and loving, which is why the revelation that she had backed a candidate whose policies separated babies from their parents felt like a profound betrayal. My inbox was blowing up with messages from other moms who were devastated. What? Shut up. We had, in other words, joined the cult of Cara. I didn't realize quite how it happened until I read this book about the sorts of cults that people join every day and these patterns these cult brands use to reel us in. Not every cult or cultish organization is necessarily pernicious. Again, I don't know what that means. Alcoholics Anonymous and charity fundraising campaigns both manipulate language to energize their participants, but the demands of modern living have left many people looking for brands and gurus for the kind of guidance and meaning that they used to find in religion. Blah, 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 blah. This book, Cultish, thoroughly examines the ways that words can be manipulated to build a sense of community, shut down debate, or even coerce damaging behavior. Though the stakes and consequences of being a CrossFit enthusiast are also cultish. All right, it's a long article, and the rest is totally irrelevant. But she talks about some of the things that we had mentioned, like Soul Cycle, and they mentioned Heaven's Gate, the Church of Scientology.
Scientology is very
QAnon.
culty. QAnon. Yo, what if it was just like love is one? The cult of Amy Carlson. That lady in Colorado with the eye thing that we all talk about.
Oh my god, this is so funny. She talks about other like actual cults and blah blah blah, but it's a funny reflection. Maybe they're catching on to the fact that they are in fact in a cult. It's called humanity.
Is cult the new word for hobbies?
Yeah.
Or
yes.
things that bring you joy?
Yes.
I mean, I know we were talking about like everything cult-like, but it's literally because we were talking about all those things, but it was because like those are the people that call us a cult.
Scientologists love martini.
Tom Cruise loves a good martini. He looks like a guy that goes after a Cosmo martini. Let's be fucking real.
Wait, they didn't mention us? Yeah, I want a refund.
Yeah, like what?
We should have been the first one.
I'm shocked that we were not mentioned in this article. Cult is all self-expression. I mean, yeah, it's just the same people that will say this is a cult or for what because it has to do with spirituality, but it's like the things they do can be seen as a cult, but it's just people calling each other out because it's like, what is it really? Like things that bring you joy, things you're interested in?
And the funniest part was the whole premise of like this writing was ultimately that a bunch of no matter how stupid newborn sleeping classes sound to me, if they were helping people in some way, then cool. It sounds dumb to me, but if they were helping people in some sort of way, like this woman claims, it greatly helped her. Her husband was willing to spend $10,000 had they, known how great it was going to be, whatever. So ultimately, it brought a bunch of moms together who felt like they connected with one another, that they felt they were helped in many ways, and they had a sense of community with other moms. But now they're all up in arms because they donated to Trump. That was the problem with the article right there, is that they were obviously had such a belief system about what it was supposed to be, and ultimately judged a brand because they supported Trump. But now all of a sudden, all the good that they supposedly, gained from this being or organization is just thrown away. And that's very telling about what they do with everything, especially mom. They focused on two things: cat video, whatever else, and threw the rest of her 15-year journey away, because that was what got them. That was what irritated them. So just very interesting.
Yeah, and it's like the two things everyone's going to struggle with: being real and judgment. Humanity's going to be their biggest things, because they struggle to be real. They don't know what it's like to be a real person. They're out of integrity. They'll lie. They'll cheat. They just live out of integrity lives most of the time. A lot of people can potentially, but they're blending it. They just take the easy route, and not standing up for the truth also makes you fake. If something bigger is going on, but you hide behind, like closed doors, whatever's, those people are it's hard to actually be genuinely real.
Yeah.
And I feel people will realize that more and more as we go forward, if people don't see it now. The second thing is judgment. Judging situations, judging people. And the interesting thing is that people that hate mom or want to denounce her as God, that don't know anything, what to you makes mom not God without casting judgment, without making judgment? True. Which means judging on a cat video, judging on a closet kid and going into a closet for timeout video, without judging her video about chicken parmesan, without judging her videos of screaming and using those as your basis as to why she's not God. You don't have a leg to stand on. There's no claim you can make. Ding. The whole screen just went, because that every person that has denounced mom is in judgment. They're casting judgment based on what they've seen. And like I said, if you watched our live streams every single day for the last 3 years, you would see roughly 4%, if that, of our lives on this mission that we've been here. You don't know what's going on. So without casting judgment, you can't make a claim about mom not being God. And people will spin on that because the mind just wants to figure it out. The mind just wants to find a way to denounce that she's God. So without casting judgment on your previous judgments of mom that have built for people, Dr. Phil, all of these things, again, it's all judgment and belief systems. What makes mom not God? Most don't know because they haven't met mom. They don't know who she is. They don't know her journey. They don't know her stories. They don't know her personally. And so what would people say? Oh, because the church, they say that God's a man. All religions say that God's a man. Okay, well, the churches have been caught passing around kids through the church system. As we know, the Pope is a very known pedophile, and so many other priests and whatevers are also pedophiles. So you want me to listen to you that God's a man and there's not a mother God. Meanwhile, the people that run the church take all this money, don't give it away. Like one of the biggest speakers for Catholicism or Christianity, whatever the fuck it is, dude makes millions of dollars. So you're talking the word of God, but you're sitting on millions and you ain't doing shit. That's what we're talking. Like do people think, okay, so you want me to think God's a man, meanwhile everybody that is higher up in Christianity is sitting on millions of dollars, sitting on fat stacks. People are coming out more and more about being pedophiles, yet we should listen to you about God being a man. Yeah, like what the remember when he just like blurped out of the window?
That was trippy. And I feel like, when we talk about judgment, there's a multidimensional definition, I feel, to what judgment is. It is, of course, like trying to label something as good or bad. But like I said, the slippery slope with that is that there are things that are incorrect in terms of universal law. So it's not judgment to say what you did was incorrect. It was out of right action in terms of universal law. And I feel that is the slippery slope with judgment, because then you can go the other direction which was the other issue mom had with the light workers, where it was like they went to such a level of, because you could get really into like, the Buddhism theories and this and that, where ultimately their whole like epitome was, well, there's no judgment for anything. And so everything just is. And you can go down that slippery slope and be where they're at, where it's like, we don't cast any judgment on anything. It's all as it should be. And it's all love and light. And as mom, and this is the slippery slope, because mom always said two things. One is that the dark always serves the light, which is true. There's truly nothing that the dark, or what you want to call the ego, unconsciousness, cabal, whatever, can do that is ultimately not going to serve the greater plan. But that is only because mom is a million steps ahead. It doesn't mean, though, in and of itself, that the incorrect action was correct in some way, because it serves the greater plan. I feel that's a slippery slope to go down. Because mom was also, the other thing she always also said was that you have to call out the things that are incorrect. So if everything was just as it should be, and everybody's choices were just as they should be, and, I'm going to go murder someone. Well, okay, it's part of the divine plan. Well, now we have a problem. And that's why mom, if that were the case, mom wouldn't have bothered calling anything out. It would have been like, oh, well, it's all just part of the plan. So it's like, I feel there's also this level of like, people like to throw the word judgment around because they don't want accountability. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, don't judge me. Don't do that.
It brings me joy.
And it's like, but it's incorrect. It's still incorrect. So I feel like it's this like delicate balance between, like, for me, I feel the judgment is more like associating an incorrect action or behavior or something with the person being bad, or, judging the soul of the person based on the choices. And I feel maybe that is the deeper level of judgment, where you can still call it out and be like, that was incorrect, wasn't right action, not in alignment, whatever, but not necessarily like associate it with the being themselves. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many parts of it, but I feel like you don't realize how much you're judging until you realize like what that means. And I mean, like, you can get to that deeper level of like everything that the cabal have done. It's part of the plan and everything to wake everybody up, but like they took it too far.
Right.
Like when you get into pedophilia and child sacrifice, it's too much, and everybody understands like you cross the line of darkness and being like totally in the mind, totally insane, dark entities, and it's just too much at that point. And it's like that, but it is truth that those people are sick, that they get some type of desire from children. It's not okay. That is not, there's something wrong with your brain.
Yeah.
If you're attracted to children.
Yeah.
There's a bigger issue at play, which again goes back to experimentation and the thousands of years we've been in these cycles. We get it. People also call us extremely judgmental. Like, look, we don't care what you do, whether you see mom as God or not, but you have to be willing to look at yourself and see how you've casted judgment on to other people. And the ones that want to point fingers and blame all the time, it's like everything you say about somebody, everybody should get used to saying it to themselves. Every time on a keyboard you type that Amy Carlson isn't God, you should get up, go into a mirror, look at yourself in the eyes and say, I am not God. And keep slowing down your process of anchoring in your divinity as you throw that energy out, because someone's going to transform it. And if you're going to run your mouth, everything that you say about others online, in person, everyone, if they actually paused and looked how they were talking about themselves, the ascension would probably move a bit faster. Yeah. But because people want to type words and do these things and they just want to be hateful, it's slowing all of this down. But that's everybody's choice. They will realize eventually where they're at and that everything they were saying was about themselves. So it's like the same thing. You want to come on here and say mom's not God? Cool, that's fine. We don't care what your judgment is about mom. But make sure that you tell yourself that you are also not God, because that is what you're doing to yourself when you speak words about somebody else. We're all one. If you don't see mom as God, you don't see anybody as God, which means you don't see anybody as an aspect of source. And if you only see certain people as an aspect of God and not the entire whole, then you're casting judgment, because everybody is a part of God.
I feel that's what it is. It's like when you associate it with the being.
Yes.
Like everyone, if people were to just look at moms, like, you know, what they had issues with, the problem that happened was that they then associated it with herself, her being, and said, because I don't like what you did, you can't be God. Mm-hmm. And that's the same as like what we do, you know, that we have to look at, like Hope saying, like, if you can't see it within yourself, that's when it becomes the judgment. If you can take accountability for what you see in another and be like, you know what, that's something that I still do. That's something that I didn't transform. That's something that I've enabled in life, whatever it is, then it flips from judgment to just observation. Of like, okay, I'm seeing this, but which part of myself have I not totally been honest about with myself, which is why I am so triggered externally by this thing. And I feel accountability is the first step to dissolving judgment. It's like, look at yourself and be like, I fucked up. And then it doesn't, and then you realize that you stop having those feelings about people that you don't like or done something that you don't like. You start having a different perspective because you're solely focusing on how you've contributed to that problem. But again, it's still the necessary thing is still that you have to call it out. Because if you don't, you're just, again, enabling the behavior. And I feel a lot of people too feel like they can't call things out because they feel that they themselves haven't gotten to like a certain level, or like, oh, well, I haven't transformed it within me, so I can't call it out within someone else. And mom's answer to that was always, you still call it out whether you feel you've transformed it or not.
Well, it's also being compassionate with somebody, and rather than jumping down someone's throat for whatever that is triggering you that they're doing, and it triggers you and you realize that you also do it, and then that kind of pulls you back from wanting to say something. It's being real with somebody where you notice it in them, and you, instead of blaming or judging and throwing that lower energy, if you're like, hey, it's okay, I have it too, that's why I noticed it, and I'm also working on it too. If you're that's a part of being real, is taking accountability and being like, I know because I'm going through the transforming of this as well, or I went through it and I'm here to help you. And that's what mom's goal was with us doing live streams. I mean, yes, of course, in the beginning, way back in the day when mom was here. when way back when the streams began, mom was, the whole original goal of the streams were to give energetic updates, were to gather people so that in unity consciousness, and share what mom was going through so that people would be ready for that energy to hit the collective. And obviously that has shifted a bit, but the principle of what mom wanted from the streams has stayed the same, which is just, obviously fun and joy and laughter and those things, but also being real with each other. Because if we don't share what we're going through, and we were with mom and knowing what it's like to see it when we took it down first, or mom did, and then it goes to the team, and then it would hit collective, what kind of roles would we have, or like what kind of people would we be if we didn't share that information? And that's what people would try to say about mom. And she said it like years ago, she would be like, for what we're doing in the streams and stuff, people can't be mad at us or mom, because we've put ourselves out there for years. Mom's put herself out for like over 10 years, and us for over 3 years now. And no one can be mad and be like, nobody told me. How did we not know this was true about mom? We've been doing this, and now we've made global headlines, and people have decided how they view mom. Do they see her as a cult leader like they claim, or do people feel that she could be something beyond what the mind just perceives Amy Carlson to be? And that's the real question, and that's up to each person. And it depends mostly on if you're in judgment or not. Because the first initial articles and information you see about mom that is the most viral, which is not our streams, Dr. Phil, Vice, you have to be enough in the heart to be like, I'm interested. I don't know why I'm being pulled to this. Like having your guard down enough to be interested in learning more. The ones that are deep in judgment will just either be the biggest trolls because they're so triggered, or the people that will just ignore whatever they watched and just keep going with their illusionary lives. So
I call it out, but then I will feel bad. It's definitely something that we've struggled with too, of like in the moment, like calling it out, I feel, and then afterwards, like, or just like I feel the feeling bad part is because, again, it's a level of taking it personally. So if we call someone else out and then feel quote unquote bad about it, it's because there's some part of us that still takes things personally. So we're associating, again, with the judgment, we're associating the call out with the person, with the being. Like if I tell Buddha he's a dick, like then and then I feel bad about it, it's because there's a part of me that takes it personally, or feels that if someone were to call me a dick or a bitch, that means that my soul is bad, that somehow there's something wrong with me. And that's the taking it personally. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't take things personally, and you can get to that level where you understand you're literally talking to the energy of it all, then you don't feel bad. There's no reason to feel bad, because you're like literally speaking to the energy of like, getting to the root of the energy, so that the other person can be like, can acknowledge it, because a lot of times denial is really what just perpetuates it. Or they can come to a new awareness and be like, okay, I see that, and I don't want to be that. We don't want to be those things. It's just the ego that creates it. So I think it's just the level of that if you call it out and you feel bad after, you just have to look at what your level of taking it personal is like still at. Gossip, drama, control energy makes me want to vomit. Sharing experiences and being real with self-expression. Yeah, I mean, I feel that's probably what a lot of you guys have the biggest maybe challenge with, is with people out there. Because like Hope said, there's just the biggest issue is for people to be real and have like real conversations. And most of the time, their conversations are always going to be directed about other people. If you're having a conversation with someone or you're watching someone talk, especially, and most of their focus is talking about other people, and it's not in a way of like sharing news or, sharing a personal experience. It's just talking about someone else or other people, then they're usually in a level of denial, which is why they have to externalize and it comes out as gossip, because they literally can't talk about themselves because they can't be real. So they have to focus on somebody else and what someone else is doing. It's way more interesting because it takes the focus off of them.
Yeah. And even it's like even before mission, it was like when you start to get on the spiritual path or you start to like feel into something going on beyond just like the external around you, you start to go within, but like you avoid most people and most light workers, unless you literally understand mom or if any other, gurus out there that may or may not teach about the ego programmed mind. I really don't see too many. And a lot will say the ego, but they don't associate it with the mind as well. So you have a lot of misinformation all over the place. Either way, with mom, it's really the only one. Like, what does it mean to really go inside yourself? Like people, yeah, it's spiritual. Like people assume like, what does that mean? You're going to meditate and and wait for some visions to happen in your third eye. Like, what does it really mean to go in rather than externalizing? And again, something that people struggle with because we're not told correctly really until we made it to mom. And because what does it mean? It actually means like to go into your programming, to watch your thoughts, to see what you do every day and become a conscious being of your actions, what you're speaking, actually being real with yourself to notice the dysfunction that you want to change rather than just sending it love and light.
Yeah.
And just ignoring the problems. That's what most people that are on the spiritual path do, is they just stuff it down and don't take accountability for the ego, and they don't look at that piece, and that is the piece that's ignored. And that's the biggest piece of all, that if people do not understand that you are not your mind, that we are moving into the heart, that you have to disassociate yourself from your ego, meaning that you are the observer of the ego mind thoughts while we are still in the experience of duality. If you can't understand those things, going within really doesn't do much. And those are the things that like we have not been told. Like I would always read those books. I'm like, what does that really mean to go within? Like, what does it mean to be like in oneness? Like they would always talk about what we're just going to ascend and all merge back energetically into one energetic field with God, who's also just an energy. Meanwhile, we have the galactics and UFOs and starships all around the planet flying around, yet people are like, oneness is, with God, and God is just an energy, and all the souls in 5D and beyond are just energy. Really, because I see these motherfuckers in starships, and I'm pretty sure they're in 5D, and they have etheric bodies. Like these things that just didn't make full sense, that aren't explained because people were missing mom. They were missing, what is this physical ascension going to look like in the physical, which nobody ever knew because it's never been done.
Yeah, I think their whole viewpoint was just that everything above is just like all of these just like waves and dots of energy, and it's all very, the thing with 3D and why mom had to come into a physical vessel was because we are in physicality, and to the 3D, we can call it the mind, but in many ways also the brain, we have a limited perception down here. We only can perceive so much until we enter full consciousness. So the average being is only seeing about, between 4 and 6% of all energy. You can't explain God and the ascension and evolution and anything else to any human being and try to put it in terms that are beyond the physical. You can, But that's where people then get deep into like everything is like a philosophy. Oh, it's an idea. It's not tangible. They can't touch it. They can't see it. They can't feel it. So they can't comprehend it. And I feel like that's where mostly like all the like real deep spiritualism went wrong, because they were trying to like float these very like high consciousness ideas and theories, but there's no physical aspect to it. So people can't fucking understand what they're saying. It's like, oh, well, that sounds good. But like, what does that actually mean? Like, I hope saying like, go within. Okay, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? Unity consciousness is a great word. What does it look like? What is the experience of unity consciousness in physical? And that's why mom ultimately had to do this ascension physically, because she had to give everybody a physical interpretation and physical experience and easy to understand teachings that you could apply physically. Because without the physical aspect, that's why people can't grasp it. That's why people are lost in terms of what is religion, what is spirituality, what is Buddhism, like all these things, but they don't actually know how to apply it to their experience. There's a disconnect. So mom, I feel she had to do this so that she could walk it physically, show us physically, what does this look like? What does someone who's a divine being in physicality look like, and what are the actions that they do? How do they respond? What are their disciplines? How do they practically show what divinity is in a physical vessel? And so that was the gift that mom gave, is she bridged that gap between all of these spiritual concepts that, you know, are great to contemplate, but ultimately are going to take you into the mind. You're going to try to figure it out with the mind by intellectualizing spiritual concepts and totally miss the practicality side of it. And so that was the brilliance of this plan, is that mom showed us practically how to do that. And it's not just an idea that floats around.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel at like this point, like if anybody were ever to like people always be like, you know, they want us to go back to like live in normal, whatever, controlled lives. If someone ever was like, you gotta go back, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna play this over and over and over again and walk away from somebody every single time they tell me to go back to normal society, because I feel like we've crossed the line. Here we go. You'll hear it. Ready? Not a cult. Not a cult. Like, I'm literally going to just do that and walk away from somebody at this point. Like, if they literally were like, come back to 3D life, I'm going to be like, hug your family.
Vaccine musicals are all the
once
rage
you
now.
get the vaccine. Yeah. Like,
If that's not a psychological propaganda, I don't know what the fuck is. But we have reached a new level. New levels of dumbness emerge every day. You know, it's funny sometimes. Other times it's really not that funny.
So a little disturbing.
But I did find this channeling that was actually just really good. It's by Grace Solaris on Facebook. She's pretty good. She's really into the DNA stuff, so I find her stuff pretty fascinating. But she just posted saying, calling all galactic ground crews to step up for one all. So I figured I'd read it. We are turning evil into divine will. No more violations to the sacred, blessed species of angelic humans that are residing on this planet. Yes, we came in huge numbers to change the tides of thousands of years of mind programming enslavement. We came from many star systems and even faraway galaxies to support the greatest liberation act ever in the planet's history from archonic and demonic dominion. Yes, it has been a long battle which is coming to an end, and ending it is despite all attempts to enslave humanity. These are but pity last desperate attempts of the 1% fallen ones. Yes, those that gave away their soul long time ago to darkness itself. They do not own any compassion, let alone understanding of love, but we are here to make the shift. You are the galactic angels that came here to turn the tide and to make the great shift, and it is happening. For we are of the light, and the light always wins in the end. This planet has gone through a long period of darkness known as Kali Yuga, which was part of the planetary evolutionary process. However, some forces that only had their own agenda and benefited in mind took advantage of the good-hearted beings of love that resided on this earth, which indeed was a very privileged place to be in the cosmos. The pandemonium was a narrative planned to ensure their agenda, and through numbing and dumbing, I like that phrase, humanity through polluting our water, air, and soil.
Air, over and out.
Air. Indeed.
Confirmed. Air confirmed.
Many have been numbed to sleep and lost their common sense, all because of giving their power away to powers outside of self, and they have lost connection to the earth and to their cosmic mother.
And drugs.
And drugs. And they got numb in their heart and blinded because of brainwashing. Our DNA has been and still is tampered with by these patriarchal forces that have been in charge for thousands of years to create separation from source and our innate connection with the divine through our hearts. By polluting our pineal glands, our third eyes got shut down and we could no longer see with our heart. So we began to give our power away to others. We turned into obedient, powerless beings, and they have taken advantage of this. The current mind programming instigated through the spike proteins in the coronation of this mind enslavement and attack on our DNA. So she's talking about the vaccine. Many galactic races have kept an eye on this planet and our evolution for a very long time. They knew of the battle that was taking place between the angelic human race and the archonic intruders. Many of these galactic beings have offered their help and support as we are family. Actually, the angelic humans came from the stars. So in other words, our relatives living in a different timeline that have already ascended, as these beings are higher dimensional. The Arcturians are one of these galactic races that have supported the planet massively in the ascension process. We have learned a lot through the increasing oppression, and many are waking up and taking back their sovereignty. The Arcturians and other beings have been working with the ground crew members that have signed up to heal and transmute all separation and atrocities that have been implemented the past thousands of years through our DNA. The Arcturians have worked diligently to support us in restoring our DNA and divine blueprint so we could rise enough in consciousness to liberate the planet. They are not going to sit back and allow this to happen. We are family, and they are stepping up to support us through the global DNA activations. She talks about the virus, blah, 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 talks a lot about mRNA and things like that. She said she's been channeling the Arcturians for a solution to basically the vaccine, and she has waited many months for their response. I was told that they have not been able to respond earlier as they have needed time to study how these artificially created DNA modifiers have impacted the human body. Immune system and energetic fields and engineer have been created to protect our DNA from being invaded. So she goes on, there's a very long article, but if you're interested in DNA, she has a pretty interesting transmission of it. And basically she will be doing these transmissions to activate the, whatever you would call the God consciousness DNA. So I like her because she understands the physicality aspect of all of this. And the Arcturians are definitely out and about. I know that when working on the plasma, they have felt a lot of Arcturian energy coming through. So I definitely feel that they are also working through the plasma with mom for whatever it is that they are doing with it. We don't know. And I know we've been talking a lot about gene keys and all that stuff. So there's obviously a lot of Arcturian energy that is coming through in whatever ways we can help to basically combat what they are trying to do by hijacking the DNA and instead work to activate the DNA. So every day we've had like these wild occurrences since we've started on this gene key phenomenon, and just like a lot of people's like past lives coming through, past experiences. And this was all things that we had said like could not have been done when mom was here. It would have taken the focus away from her, wasn't important. It just wasn't a rabbit hole that we could have opened while she was here because it was irrelevant. The only thing relevant was mom. And so now there's just this process that's occurring where a lot of people are like we're getting these like activations and we're having these downloads, and all of a sudden like getting a lot of this like past life information through where, you know, it's not about attaching to it, but it does bring clarity in many ways and pieces of the puzzle to certain things that we're transforming, or certain things of like how we all interrelate with each other, how we all have these like different codes that like come together. It is very fascinating. Greggy, Google like the gene key profiles, and you can Google like the 64 gene keys. Thanks, Dina. And you can buy the book if you want. That's the Richard Rudd book that Dina recommended to us, and we're going to recommend to anybody who's interested. So yeah, we feel we're going to do, starting in July, we need some moments to get it together, and Dina's going to be helping us with this. And Greg, I'd love for you to help too with the numbers. If you can get through like any little bits of like divine information about these gene keys, based on the numbers, we'd like to, you know, we're going to put little like things together for each gene key and do master classes for the month of July. Because we know our experience so far with just like learning about them and reading them and like the wild kind of things that have come up. So I feel everybody's going to have pretty interesting experiences, and it's a way to like activate something which hopefully has some sort of trickle out effect.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Wow. It's already 10 minutes left. That was a fast ass stream. Time's not real anymore. Well, we went through the solstice, so we're still in those energies. We want to make sure we cover the best segment, our daily fuck yous. I've been thinking about mine since yesterday. For many obvious reasons. Fuck 5G towers. I fucking hate those things. I used to cry and flip them off in 3D when I drove by them. Those feelings have never gone away. Fuck you, 5G towers. One day, when I realized it was 5D versus 5G, I also cried on that ride home. So fuck you guys, because back in the day, I turned off my Wi-Fi because I was fucking scared of that shit. Fuck all of that. Fuck those frequencies. You guys suck. But I also wanted to call out a specific entity, organization, corporation. I fucking hate AT&T. Fuck you. Fuck you, AT&T. Verizon, you're not far behind, but fuck you, AT&T, because over 20 years ago, maybe less than 20 years ago, you bought out Singular, and they were by far the most creative cell phone service out there. Why'd you have to buy them out? I missed that little orange guy that was for Singular.
They bought out T-Mobile too.
When?
Years ago.
T-Mobile's still around.
But AT&T bought them out.
Oh, recently? So there's no more T-Mobile? What the fuck?
No, there is, but they're owned by AT&T now.
Well, that's dumb.
Let me see.
That doesn't make any sense.
Reading about it.
Why don't you just call yourself AT&T?
Buys out
I made it just in time for the fuck yous. Yeah, who doesn't like Singular raising the bar? Good fucking shit.
Oh, it was an attempted purchase.
They tried.
AT&T announced its intention to buy T-Mobile for $39 billion.
It's quite a lot of money.
It says they accepted the money, but...
They accepted the money and ran. They accepted the money and just didn't do anything about it. They were like, yeah, we'll take the money.
I don't know why it says attempted purchase, because then it says then on March 2011, they accepted the money. But according to an analyst, after the introduction of the iPhone in 2007, T-Mobile began to lose lucrative contract customers. Their T-Mobile's high turnover rate compared to that of Verizon and AT&T needed investment in network upgrades, and it was too risky to drop given the contract with customers, so they refused to sell. Anywho, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm out for AT&T today.
No, they're the worst of the worst.
Yeah, just like too much. I mean, Verizon, like I said, they ain't no fucking saints. We know. It's fine. T-Mobile was cool back in the day. They definitely did drop the ball. But like I said, Singular, they could have become something grand. They had a chance.
High hopes for Singular.
They had a chance in this world. And AT&T took it away. Just bought them out before they even had a chance to rise up and continue forward in their cell phone frequency business. Whatever the fuck that means. What was another one back in the day? I know Sprint got bought out. There was another one. Yeah, Metro.
Metro PCS.
Metro, is that like, I don't even remember that. Oh yeah, fuck you.
Those were for the burner phones.
Yeah.
If you had a burner, you had Metro.
Yeah, you had Metro. Someone else had also said a couple days ago, fuck you BP oil. They just fucking suck. BP oil, they're always spilling. They're always fucking spilling in the ocean. How many times do you let it spill before you realize you don't know how to fucking contain the oil? Like, it just, okay, why is it in the middle of the ocean? Why do these tankers magically erupt? And why the fuck can't you keep the oil together? Because you don't have it where it's supposed to be, and it's called in the fucking ground, okay?
And it's called, like, let's move past oil. Like, we need to evolve.
And why are the oil tankers, like I said, in the middle of the fucking ocean? Because if it explodes like they have a million times, where's it fucking going? The ocean. Have it on fucking dry land. It's not rocket appliances. And if you don't get that joke, I know it's rocket science. It's a joke. If you know, you know.
If you don't, you don't. Well, my big fuck you is to the Federal Reserve. Fuck you, Federal Reserve, because they are not even a government entity. They are a private corporation, and how in the fuck they have lasted this long is literally beyond me. They are not a part of our government. They altered the Constitution to add the fact for us to pay taxes was never in the original Constitution. You don't get to change the Constitution. That's not the way that it fucking works, okay? So they altered the Constitution. They added the amendment for us to pay taxes, which was never legalized in the beginning. The founding fathers, whoever those beings may be, understood that taxes were pretty much the root of many evils, which is why they left Britain in the first place. So for us to then ratify our Constitution, bringing back taxes again, and once again, giving the money away to an entity that is not even run by the government. They have no oversight. Nobody oversees the Federal Reserve. It's a private corporation. So who the fuck is overseeing them? They always talk about checks and balances. Well, who's checking the Federal Reserve? Nobody. Why do they get to decide what tax brackets we're in? They get to create tax brackets. They get to up taxes or decrease taxes. They get to create the fake. If you talk to any business analyst, when I was in high school and in college, and probably for as long as I can remember, I used to ask everybody that I knew who was in finance to explain inflation to me. It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Inflation is not a real thing, just so you know. It is created, just like the stock market. It's illusionary. Inflation doesn't exist. It is a word that they created to justify whether or not they print more money or they don't. It's a way for them to cause recessions or cause spikes based on their agendas. They can cause a recession if they want to, which will benefit them in some way, and then they can cause a spike if they want to, which will benefit them in some way. Either way you cut it, inflation is illusionary. And the fact is that they just print money. Like, they just print money. There's no backing. There's no weight behind that money being printed. And people in the business world will tell you, oh, well, because you don't understand inflation. No, you don't understand inflation. You don't even know what the fuck that means. So all they do is print money and take money. And ultimately, how the Federal Reserve is still standing is an abomination to this country. If everybody right now stopped paying taxes, the Federal Reserve would collapse. That's all I'm saying. I won't say anything else because this video will get deleted, but that's all I'm saying.
How to beat the system. Stop paying taxes. It's easy.
Fuck them.
There you go. Doesn't really matter. It's all a game anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to give Jeff Bezos more fucking money anyways? 45,000 people signed that petition to make sure that he doesn't come back after he leaves for his space excursion for wherever the fuck he's going. Well, he's not going to come back anyways because he's going to the galactic central sun. So it's all good. We just got to get it out. And then someone yesterday sent me this article from a few years ago where there was sexual abuse allegations and discrimination at Kay and Jared jeweler companies.
No way. That's so funny.
Fucking Jared. Better watch out. Truth's coming out. So it'll be, I don't know, we're just having some fun. If people take this seriously, fuck you. It's all a joke anyways. It's all a show. When you realize it's all a show, maybe some of y'all will just laugh a little bit more of a chuckle throughout your day when you realize it's all a show. Mm-hmm. It's all a joke.
Yep. And it's all illusionary. Oh my God. When people realize that their whole lives are illusionary, yes, it's a far fall from the top.
It's going to be okay though.
Like, I wonder when it's going to hit them. Like that moment when they're like,
soon,
you know, like those like videos where they're just like, and they're like, oh my God, they poison us daily. Oh my God, they lied to us about everything. Oh my God, I've been giving all my money away to the cabal. Oh my God.
They're not going to really do it. They're just going to be like, they're going to be so numb anyways. They're going to be like, no. Okay.
Whew, that's a moment. That's a moment of clarity that's going to come. That's going to probably make them throw up on themselves. But, you know.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. We heal one way or the other, right?
Truth will always come out. Truth will always be truth.
Truth will always be truth. And thank you for joining our TED Talk today.
Yay!
Jerry and Buddha will be back at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and we'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And we love you guys. Thank you for all the support yesterday. I had not turned the sale off yet, the 30% off. So if there's anything anybody would like to get last minute, I'm going to leave it up for just a few more hours. So go ahead and get any colloidals, pyramids, whatever it is that you guys need. I'll leave it up for a few more hours before the afternoon stream today if there's anything anybody wanted to get and wasn't able to yesterday. So thank you guys, and we love you, and we shall see you tomorrow.
Yay, we love you. See you tomorrow. 5, 6, 7, 8. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Love has won and joy reigns. Na 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 na. Joy. Na 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 na. Joy reigns. Hey, hey, hey. Love has won. We love you. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
Stop the messing, count those blessings. And book your mother loving session.
Tell him. There you go.